welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar. Craig Talley's on the line. We'll be hosting the show tonight. A little bit different startup music for y'all. Something new that I just pulled offline and everything. That's by Alex Stoner. Good name, Craig. But it's called Jump there. We just decided to try something different tonight as far as the music goes. And yeah, we did that. And just want to tell you guys, you can call in live anytime you want to. Get involved in the conversation. 352-504-4170. Or for you people out there outside the U.S., you can get on your computer, or I think you can do it off your iPhones and stuff like that too. You can just go to Skype. I think you can download the app and just punch in Derek.Asklar1 as the contact for Skype to get a hold of us. And that way it doesn't cost you anything. Calling international kind of, probably gets really expensive, Craig. I know it was from Bulgaria when I was over there, so figured give them another option if you're in, Australia or wherever, Germany. We got listeners in the UK, Canada even. You can call in through Skype right there. And I have it up on the chat, so you can kind of see it on there. And I'm not sure how that'll work, Craig, but we're going to give it a try anyways. You may have to accept I can't remember how Skype works on that, but I think I may have to accept the request, and it may take a minute or so. But yeah, we're going to give it a try and see how it works.
Gavin called in that time from Australia.
Yeah, that's true. I think he did use Skype. Yeah.
So maybe it's easier to work now. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to try it. Hey, we got it working.
But he sent me a photo that it was his dashboard in his car, and it had his radio, and it said Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio on it.
Well,
he was listening to it in his car, and it said it right on the receiver.
Well, I know we're on
so cool.
Spotify. We're on Spotify now. iHeartRadio will be on there, I believe, and it said in the next week or two. This is part of their monetization thing or something like that. There's like 6 or 7 formats that I've connected to, and I just can't remember all of them right off the top of my head. Google has one, and I'll try to post them up to our Facebook page, and that way, if some of you guys probably have accounts for Spotify and stuff, and it's just another way for you to listen to the show or get to the archives and be able to download them if you want to. And tell a friend, and I think the other shows are probably doing the same thing. And we're just trying to spread the word because,
it's getting big. I mean,
yeah.
It's we were just talking about it before the show. All of a sudden we get, what was it, 1,200 downloads in the last few days or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of neat, isn't it?
We get a fair amount of downloads, several hundred and stuff, 300, but 1,200, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it blew my mind when I looked at it today. It's like, wow.
I think it's because they're starting to push us out to all these other things, and we're getting more exposure. But because they want to make money, they make money off the ad, so they're gonna put it out there. So we, I think there's probably going to be a whole category, now of, there's probably at least about 10 people doing, 10 different things going on metal detecting at least. I think even like XP Deus USA, I think they're doing it.
Yeah, there's several.
I don't know. I don't know if they're doing it in Britain or not.
I haven't seen anything.
Imagine
yet,
they are.
They probably are, and I need to go back through on some of them like Mixler and Spreaker too. I think there's only about 5 or 6 of us on there.
Yeah, obviously people are listening to us over all over the world. I mean,
the analytics show that.
Some of the countries I had to kind of almost look up. I didn't ever even heard of hardly. It's like, I knew, but you asked about this one called Malta, and I knew where that was, but
I have no clue.
Most people wouldn't, but that's an area where there's probably a fair amount of treasure because it's right there in the Mediterranean area.
Yeah. I was kind of
anything
surprised,
around
like
that whole
Tokyo
area,
or Japan and stuff like that. We don't really have any. I mean, every once in a while somebody, but they may be. I don't know what the laws are like in those countries at all, as far as like China and stuff. I'm sure they're pretty, you know. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what the laws are over there, whether they can even own a metal detector. Some countries you can't even have one. I mean, a lot of guys get them anyway somehow, but it's just kind of funny. It depends on where you live at in the world.
Yeah, I've over the last, since I've been on the internet, I've talked to people, all around. It's like Ukraine and Turkey, and there's places in Africa. I talked to one dealer. He used to sell what was it? The lower priced GPX mine labs
right.
in Africa, and they would pull up in a boat right on the border in the middle of nowhere, and these guys would come running up and buy them, and they wouldn't buy the top of the line because the authorities came. They'd just throw the machine, and take off running.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a lot of gold over there, but it's kind of craziness.
It was, it was like almost like life imprisonment if you got caught or something. You're going to go to prison for sure. But he said they were selling metal detectors like crazy over there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just unbelievable how many people the whole villages were selling. He said they were, the whole village would go in on a metal detector, and
right.
And that was, and then there was guys coming around the black market, giving them about half of what it was really worth, but still.
No, yeah, it's funny, man.
I've seen pictures, they guys are selling me, I get all these scams all the time, where they want to sell me gems, they want to sell me, they're showing me pictures of these, it's terrible. I mean, they just dig up the ground all over the place. They have the whole village out there. People just, and a lot of these things got toxic chemicals in the ground.
It's like I think it's New Guinea or something like that. That's where, Gold Rush, Parker's Trail, one of the guys that was on there, he's a younger guy, and he's made his, pretty much made a fortune up in the Klondike and stuff like that. He went over there just to go and do something different, and I talked about it a little bit on a couple shows back. But man, I tell you what, it's like a war zone almost when it comes to.
It's the Wild West.
It's like the second or third biggest gold mine in the world, and it's Craig. It's sad that the locals that apparently leased this property to whomever that's actually mining it. People are getting killed. I mean, it's just not uncommon. And they're talking kids. They send the kids across, and they'll jump the fences, razor wire fences. They're jumping over to grab any kind of ore they can get, or whatever else they can get their hands on. I mean, we're talking 8, 9, 10-year-old, boys and girls having to do that to survive.
I don't know if you saw that.
It's crazy.
I put a video up probably a month ago on Hardcore Metal Detector, and I put it up on a couple of sites, but it showed like there was this ditch, and it was probably maybe 15 feet, 20 feet across, and maybe, I don't know, 8, 10 feet, 12 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
And this big crane was just taking big scoops out of this stuff. And as soon as the crane would start passing, people were jumping off the banks behind it with shovels and picks and just tearing it up.
Yep.
And there was like one guy, you could see it. There was a gold nugget the size of your hand. This one guy grabbed, but there must have been, I don't know, 25, 50 people, 100 people maybe, just jumping in, and and that thing would just, they would take another scoop, and everybody would jump out of the way and jump out of the. People were almost getting mangled by this scoop. I was like, oh my God, they were just jumping in, and there was nothing they could do about it. There was so many people there.
Yeah, well, that's what it was like over there when they were on that big
I've
line.
never seen anything
geez.
like it.
Yeah.
And I saw other places where they poisoned the whole area with mercury. Because of getting the gold.
Yeah, that's the only way they know how to get the gold from the black sand is they use the mercury.
Yeah.
And they burn it off, and they're getting mercury poisoning, and you can't breathe that stuff in when they're trying to clean it up. But even we're talking, I want to say it was either 5 or 8 grams a day is what some of these families get by panning, essentially. In I think it's New Guinea. And that's enough. I think it's between 36. It was either 36 or 63. I don't know. I got dyslexia sometimes, but $63 a day U.S. For 8 grams of gold, and that's enough, I guess, to feed their family and the people there. But I mean, that's
probably
of
a lot
work
of
there.
money. That's probably a lot of money in that area.
Oh yeah. But I guess they leased this property to that big mine, and now that was like, I don't know, in the 40s or something, and they've never been paid any more for it. I think that's the way the story went with it. And the Parker and his he had 3 other people with him, and they were wanting to go into that mine to check it out just to see how they're processing gold, what they're doing, and they couldn't even get in there. Then they ended up getting a letter saying, cease and assist us, pretty much, turn your cameras off and leave, or, essentially you're going to be thrown in prison. So they just stopped even dealing with that mine at all, or trying to even, look at the outlying area, because they were actually helping out the locals, which they're in a real bad way. And it's sad to see that, something that's so prosperous and it could be so much for that country, is the locals or the people that live there are so they're killing each other. I mean, it's there's so many civil wars going on with the different tribes and stuff like that. They got chased after with people with machetes and everything else. It's pretty wicked. It's definitely hardcore. But yeah, that's what you need to do to survive. So
I had this guy that I knew at the grocery store, and he was like, we became friends. He always, if I tried to go into a different line, he'd go, no, I want to talk to you, my friend.
Yeah.
So, but I asked him one time. Well, I'll tell you a funny story. He came to this country when he was, I think, 17, and they sent him to Minnesota, and he was telling me his story, and he said, I cried every night. I was so cold because I didn't even know there was anything about snow. I didn't know it even got this cold, on Earth. And he said, I could not take it. It was just horrible, And then he said, finally, the family I was staying with, they got me this the most thickest coat you could imagine, and then I was, then I felt much better.
Yeah.
And then he said, then they moved us, to Virginia, and he said it was in the middle of the summer, and he said, everybody said it's hot, and he goes, this is perfect.
Well, I'm not as well traveled as some people
anyway,
are, but you go, traveling to these countries,
I asked him, I said, how come Africa has all these problems, with, and he goes, it's all tribal. He said every tribe has this pride, and they're the best tribe, and they can't get along. They won't, nobody will admit that,
nobody will
they
get
can
along.
work together. It's just, it's just that way. And he said, he started mentioning certain countries that, those people think they're better than anybody else, So I was thinking, he thinks that, it's part of their culture, I guess. I don't know, But,
when you start thinking about it, our country, the U.S., we got our problems. Believe me, we got our problems. But you know what? It could be a hell of a lot worse. And like the UK, it could be a heck of a lot worse, guys. Canada could be a lot worse, because I've been to some of these countries. Nicaragua, beautiful country. Man, they're going through a civil war right now. Great people. I met a lot of nice people down there, and good families.
Went to
and everything.
Socialism and communism, and you see what happens with Venezuela too.
Yeah, well, even Cuba.
They're like,
look at all the problems, with that they have.
They're like
with
mad.
The government. The people are like great.
Mad, they're like Mad Max, man. Remember that movie?
Yeah. I watched a documentary. I think it was Anthony Bourdain. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's a food critic guy. Kind of goes around, checks out all these food in these different countries, and he's kind of political. But I couldn't believe the so poor some of these people down there in Nicaragua that they were actually at the dump waiting for the trash trucks to come in, so that they can hit something to eat. I mean, that's, guys, that's rock bottom. And it's whole families. It's sad that there's places in this world that are still, trying to feed their people. And the people are great. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with the governments. I mean, I don't even try to, I don't play politics. Like, it pisses me off to play politics. So I don't even get into that part of it. But as far as the people go, great people down there. I've been, Mexico, same way, but there's so much political and drugs and everything else. Be thankful for what you got, because people, where I was at in Rio Blanco, I mean, they had dirt floors. They didn't have air conditioning. They had, but they were happy. I mean, generally, Craig, they didn't know what it was like to have air conditioning or whatever. I mean, what they had was nice, for what they were used to, what they grew up with, what they knew. And then we look at, oh God, our internet's going down or something, and oh gosh, I got to buy another tank of gas, and what I mean. We're quibbling over, we have so much more, and it humbles you. When.
Well, yeah. Speaking about the internet, that mine went down. Everybody's went down like Sunday.
Really?
Did you have it happen? Yeah, I
didn't
went
have any
out
problem, but
for a good 2 hours. I was watching YouTube on my TV, on Apple TV, and all of a sudden they wanted my password. I'm like, what?
Oh, that happened to me. Yeah, that happened to me too. Netflix did it to me.
So I'm like, what the heck, So I go in and into the settings and reboot the whole system, and it comes back up and it wants my password again, and I'm like, this is weird. And so I go over and check the internet, and I got a speed test on my iPad and my iPhone. So I checked the internet speed, and it's fine. It's it's way up there. I got real high speed internet, and I'm like, well, that's weird. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at my, I go on to my email, and it's not updating. It's like, it's like stuck or something, and so I go, that's kind of odd. So I thought, well, I'm going to go on Twitter and see what's happening, because like you can type in like YouTube, like hashtag YouTube or @YouTube.
Right.
I think there's another one. What is it? There's one called YouTube Trends. There's one called, I think one of them's YouTube Help. Well, anyway, all of a sudden I start seeing all these tweets, man. There's like thousands of people are going, oh my God, what's going on? There's no internet. Mm-hmm. The internet is completely off. I can't even, use I can't even use my Gmail, and I'm, so then I go on to Gmail and I sent a message, and then they sent me a message back saying that they're working on it. And so 2 hours later, it suddenly came on. But there's all these conspiracy theories about, did the government have some kind of internet turn-off switch that they were testing?
No, I'm sure they do.
Like that. And so I don't know, but the whole East Coast supposedly was affected.
Yeah, I don't know.
And,
Ours kicked off on Sunday, but it came right back on. I had to re-enter our password and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Craig, it's just hard to tell what they're doing anymore. It gets so nuts.
Yeah, but it just shows you. I was kind of laughing to myself, going, I was like all tense, going, what in the heck's going on, And then I go on the Twitter, man, it was like blowing up, people were going crazy, and there was a lot of people saying that they had a scheduled live stream, a bunch of YouTube, guys with millions of subscribers were, they were upset because they were going, I got a, live stream coming up that I've advertised, and, is it going to be up by then? And, what's going on and all kinds of stuff, and so, and there were other guys were saying, this is the time I always upload my video, and, people are going to think something's going on if I don't upload it at the same time I always do or something, and I don't know, it's just kind of weird, but people are, the internet has just become like, you don't even think about it. You just,
there's so much,
it's part of your life. It's a major part of your life. At least, I know it is.
Oh, they've made it they've made it to the point now where all these, you go to the doctors. There's portals for every dang doctor, every hospital. You got to get on these portals to get your test results, even getting your license. I mean, I just had to get Pauline's renewed. Did it online. I mean, everything's online now, and they, the funny thing is, how do you tell the difference in some of this stuff? I mean, I get phone calls, and Craig, I've been getting absolutely pounded over and Pauline has been too. My mother has. I mean, we get, I think it was 253 million robocalls a day come to Florida alone. That's 253 million a day. That is hideous. It's so crazy. You don't know who in the hell you're talking to anymore.
Well, I don't know if you heard about there's some kind of bill that they want to put out where they, get rid of this stuff. And the other one is quit. This is really good. I was watching, Apple has this worldwide developer conference, and they show a lot of products and stuff. And they just came out with a thing in the new operating system. When you go you're on the web or something, and you want to share something, and they'll say log in with Facebook or Twitter,
right?
And so then they get your email and put cookies on you. That's how they track you all over the internet and make money off of you. And so Apple now is going to, when that happens, there'll be a thing that says log in with Apple. So what Apple does is they put a fake email that doesn't connect to you. I mean, it connects to you can read it, but they can't read it. It's you. It's like a totally different email. It's like a double email. You got your firewall email in between them and you, and so they can notify you through that that email if you want to accept it.
Right.
But if you don't, you just don't have to. So I thought that was like one of the best things I've ever seen, because Apple, has always said we don't make money off people's privacy. We make it off our devices and our services.
Right.
But we don't think it's right to make money off people's private, financial actions and everything else, and it isn't, and it's become like Google and Facebook. That's all they do. That's like their whole business. If you took that away from them, they have nothing. Right. They don't have anything else hardly. That's how they destroyed the market for everybody else as far as advertising and stuff, because they steal it all.
Well, like with the show and everything, Spreaker does a pretty. I mean, as near as I can tell, they're doing a pretty good job of. They give us a choice of a minute long. At the beginning of your show, and then you can pick. I picked 2 minutes at the end of the show, and it's either 30 seconds or a minute in the middle, and you have a choice of where it goes in the middle of the show. And I usually try to get it out of the way real fast so that the rest of the show, because our shows usually run over an hour anyways, usually around an hour and a half, and I don't want it to be sporadic throughout the whole thing. But they've been, I was telling Craig, I said, we're over $20. I mean, in a month, that's not bad at all. I mean, we're not near our goal, paying for the show. That's what all we wanted it to do, anyways. But I was pleasantly surprised because I really didn't think it was going to do anything, Craig. I mean, but they seem to be true to their word so far, anyways. And we're not getting, we might get $1 a day.
I think it's going to get better than that. If we're getting those kind of downloads, and it keeps up like that, who knows? Maybe pay for the whole show in one month.
That's what I'd like to be able to do.
That's the goal. I think first goal is to do that. And anything more is great. But.
Well, I always said, how do you improve on your show unless you have, like new microphones, new this, new that. I mean, it's, we're making do with what we got, and we always have, and it's all cool and everything. But if I have a chance to pay for the show, that frees up a little bit of money, so I can, buy a new microphone, Craig can get a better setup up there, and not that we're, like Seven, with Relics Radio. I mean, Seven knows his stuff. He has, 2 laptops on it, and this, cell phones and everything else. And that's what he does.
But he's put some money into it too.
Oh yeah, he's put a lot of money into it. And I remember when, Dave McMahon and Dennis O'Connor, I think it was, when they were doing Detecting Lifestyle. I mean, it's not hard to put $5,000 into sound system and the whole 9 yards. That was what, almost 7 years ago when they went off the air, or 5 years ago, anyways. But yeah, I mean, it's very costly, and we're doing it on a shoestring, and we're having fun with it, though. I mean, it was never meant to be a money maker for us. I just wanted to be able to pay for the show. But it'd be, cool if we can make a few dollars, Craig. I mean, we ain't gonna get rich. That's what that's like Mark Hoover said. We're not gonna get rich, which I agree with. And in metal tech, even being a dealer, and all this stuff, this internet stuff and everything, it all applies to metal detecting, because we have people on Facebook, we have people, making videos and doing live streams and all this different stuff. It uses the internet. So, I mean, it definitely affects everybody when we start having problems, or they start doing, funky things and turn the internet off or whatever they did. But it does affect our hobby, and just along with a lot of other hobbies, because that's how we all communicate to each other. And we see what the fines are. We see, who's doing what. The stealth diggers and the Hoover boys and all these. Casey and Rini. They're all doing what they like to do. As far as YouTube videos and all that. But you're not going to be able to see them if you can't get on the internet. And then I'm sure they have to deal with their whole new form of the advertisers and people trying to do stuff like that. I don't even know that end of the whole business, but we're kind of small time here, Craig.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Oh yeah, we've been doing this for several years. I had fun with it. That's what.
We never did it for the money or anything. We did it for the fun, and kind of get the word out on the business, and it was kind of a cheap way of doing it compared to all the rest of the advertisements, that we saw, that didn't really work. But
it's just the formats that they have now. I mean, there's ways. I was trying to start up a hobbyist community and stuff like that, which is, I thought would be a great idea, and a lot of other people did. And, man, I tell you what, out of pocket, I'm not a rich guy, I mean, Craig, I can't dump that kind of money into it. I mean, it's a great idea if somebody wants to try it, but I think it'd be a good option, just to be able to round up all the hobbies that are like ours, like the prospecting part of it, and the bottle hunting, and the, even the, people looking in old buildings trying to find stuff or whatever, like the storage wars, all that, it's all hobby stuff, it's all adventure, it's all trying to find the little treasures in your world that, you can find. And, we just happen to do ours with a metal detector. But, it would be involving everybody, because all these hobbies kind of run into each other somehow or another. You're out there metal detecting, and all of a sudden it turns into a bottle hunt. or you start finding gold if you're out west and you start hitting gold and you really get the gold fever going on. Well, you want to know more about it, how to do it better, what people are using. So yeah, that all the hobbies kind of link together. That's the way I see it, anyways. And Craig and I have people that that we talk to that aren't even detectorists, but they're bottle hunters, or they're looking at old barns and traveling around the country looking and trying to find stuff in there that's worth something, and that's the way they make their money, or whatever they do for a living, and they're out there having fun. That's I think that's what we got involved with a detector company, and tried to do that route.
Almost anybody would like to be a treasure hunter,
Yeah, who wouldn't?
The problem is it's hard, and when you find out how hard it is, most people don't want to do it anymore, because they realize how hard it is. But
it's not easy,
but when you get into it and you got, you've got success where you're finding stuff, it's really fun, and I'm watching this, this guy that, is doing this river treasure called D Almighty, and he's getting close to 8 million subscribers, and he got like 2 other guys that they've got channels, and I think one of the guys, the one guy that started up the last, is over 1 million, and the other guy's got I think 2 million, and but they go out and they go into these rivers, and they've even gone to like Hawaii and hiked out into the jungle to these waterfalls and dive down, and they find like iPhones and watches, Apple watches and rings,
all kinds of stuff.
It's unbelievable how many sunglasses that are lost. I mean, they went out with like 4 or 5 guys all day long, and it was some kind of, it's some river in Georgia or Florida that it's real famous, and they went on Memorial
Day. The Swanee River.
And it might have been, I don't know. It's something like, I don't know. Is there one called like the Comiskey or something like that?
Oh gosh, man, I don't know about northern Florida.
Well, anyway, it was like a famous river, and there's like 25,000 people on rafts, and most of them are drunk, and they're dropping stuff off, and like when they first get there, people start recognizing these guys, and especially the kids, and they start going screaming, and all these kids come running, and there's like 40 kids all around these guys, going, "Oh my God, we watch your YouTube channel," and these guys have got, there's some of the other people out there on boats see them, and they come paddling over, and they go, "Oh my God, that's you," and so this one guy goes, "I lost my iPhone, and it's right down there somewhere," and so they dive down, and they come up, and the guy's got it in his hand, and the whole crowd starts cheering. But they find murder weapons or whatever. People throw them off bridges, and so they started searching all on these old bridges, and they found all kinds of stuff. They found knives, and they found rifles. They found assault rifles, all kinds of handguns. And what they do is they bring them up, and then they call the police and tell them that they found a gun in the river near this bridge, and then the police come out and they try to clean it off and look at the
serial number, tag it.
Serial number, and then they call it in, and then they find out whether it's stolen or whatever. And so there was a couple that could have been part of a murder case or something. And then one of them he was able to actually keep, and but it was pretty wild. I mean, they got so excited when they found those guns, because that was like, but they found like this urn or something in the water. It turned out to had ashes or something from the dead person in it.
Oh yeah,
it's out in the middle of the river.
Times. Yeah, we've had a couple down here like that. I mean, every state, every place you go, there's there's stuff been thrown or lost or whatever. Waterways are, and there's a lot of trash. I mean, our rivers, I mean, they've cleaned up a lot over the years, but my gosh,
that's another
there's a lot of
thing
stuff in there.
That's cool about these guys. They take these net like baskets that are these big nets, and then they have like a drywall bucket with holes in it, and whenever they find bottles and cans on the bottom and all kinds of, they get like there's a lot of like fishing lures with the line still on them.
Yeah.
And
caught up.
They're tangled all over the place, and so they gather that all up, and and then they take it to when they get to shore, they throw it away in the trash.
And I'm sure that can get pretty dangerous too. You think about scuba diving down in there and getting caught up on something, and it.
And there's a couple of videos where they're dumping all this stuff in trash cans, and people are coming by going, "You guys pulled all that junk out of the river?" And they go, "Yeah." They go, "You wouldn't believe how bad it is down there." And they go, "Yeah, I can imagine." And they said, we decided, we're just going to pick up everything we see, and
Exactly.
if it's trash, we're going to pick it up and start cleaning up the river, and he said, we've been coming down here, and and he said, one thing they were talking about is, when these holidays come around, it's okay. Now they're going to be a lot of deposits, in the water. The depositors are here. So it's like every year, you find stuff, and it's amazing how many phones they find in the water. It's just crazy, and a lot of work. And they can actually find the people and, call them up and, get the phones back to them. One time the guy found a gold ring. They got but two of the guys now have Excaliburs. And so they were going, down in the water, hunting on the bottom now with, detectors. And people are calling them, saying that they lost a ring and stuff. And so, he's been able to find a couple of them for people, and a couple people dropped cell phones, and he went and found them. It's all kinds of wild stuff,
Yep.
But he had one day where he must have found about 9 rings. He was on this beach in Hawaii, and the funny thing was is the one guy had just started metal detecting. He'd just gotten his Excalibur and everything. And they went right before that. They went to Walmart and they bought this bling ring that had 50 peg diamonds in it. and they threw it in front of him when they saw him underwater. he thought he had the big one. He was screaming, and then they told they waited a while, then they told him they threw it in there, and he got so mad. They were all laughing. But anyway, this guy Jake found this ring from I think it was Texas A&M, and he was able to find out, the guy, and figured out what his number was, and called him. And he was actually from India, and he was had immigrated to the United States, and so he actually lived, I think, in Florida. So anyway, he couldn't believe it, and he said, you dropped, I got this ring, and he goes, "You found it in Hawaii?" And he goes, "Yeah," and he goes, "Yeah," he goes, I lost it in the surf there, and so he said, "Yeah, I got it, and I wanted to, return it to you, and the guy said, "Oh my God, I never thought I'd ever see that again, this is unbelievable, and he said,
"Yeah,
I want to do something for you, and I want to pay you, give you a reward." And he goes, I've got a lot of money, I travel around the world and stuff, and so, the guy says, I don't need a reward. The reward is giving it back to you, And he said, I have a YouTube channel, and I kind of do this to show people that this is the right thing to do. If you find something, the right thing to do is to try to find the person and give it back to them,
Exactly.
So, and that, and it's the same thing with like cleaning up stuff, cleaning up the trash and stuff on the river. You know, that's pretty cool things to do, you know, and he's got a lot of followers, you know. These kids love this guy, you know. It's unbelievable how many, everywhere they go, if the kids see him, man, they go crazy. They all come running, they're screaming for their friends to come.
Yeah.
You know, and even the adults, I mean, I've been watching it. I watch every one. I saw a couple of the first ones, and I got hooked on these guys. And it was like, you know, first it was Jake, you know, and then Jordan, and then this guy Tristan was one of the roommates, and now he's, you know, got like 1 million subscribers, and they have, you know, they do collaboration videos, and then they go out solo, but it's pretty cool. They, you know, it's just a lot of fun. I mean,
oh yeah, I mean it you know, and a lot of people too, Craig. I know that Mike Miller, Grandpa Mike, we haven't talked about him or talked to him in a while. We need to get a hold of him. But, you know, he's part of the Suncoast Research and Recovery Club, and they'll go out and do, you know, find rings for people or whatever they lost. And some people just insist on trying to give them money, you know, as a reward. And they started, you know, they've done this for years now. Said, okay, if you want to, you don't have to. We don't, you know, we're not going to accept anything. But if you want to make a donation to our club, then you can do that on your, you know, do that on your own or whatever. That's up to you. If you just want to, you know, give a reward on it, we won't accept it personally, but the club will. So that, you know, a lot of times people give them $100 reward or whatever, and it goes right into the fund for the club itself, and that enables them to do stuff for the kids. They have, you know, seated hunts. They do all that stuff. So it's you know, if people really, you know, want to give, because like you said, some people just want to, and I've had, you know, pretty much, you know, like, no, I don't, you know, no, I did this because I wanted to. I'm glad I found it for you, type thing. And they insist. I said, you know, make a donation to somebody else, you know, whatever, some kind of a, whatever, it doesn't matter, you know, just do it in my name if you want to, you know, because, you know, we're just doing it, we're having fun, you know, while we find stuff for people. And I love seeing the look on their face, you know, something that they saw, you know, thought they'd never see again. And it doesn't even, I mean, it's keys, it's whatever they lost. You know, I've had people say, well, I lost my sunglasses on the beach. Well, you know, gosh, how many pairs of sunglasses do you find on the beach? A lot of them. Usually they're trashed, but I mean, you know, you'd be surprised. You know, it's not as much as it used to be because I think people got smart about wearing gold and stuff.
53 in one weekend, remember?
Well, yeah, 53 pairs in one weekend. Yeah, I remember that. Following my wife's here, yeah, she reminded me. I found them all over. They had barnacles on them, Craig, and coral growing off.
Yeah,
that's not, you know, they get washed up.
Storm.
Yeah, right after a storm, it dredged them up.
Well, you wouldn't believe, you know, some of these glasses these guys find, they you know, they're recent drops, so you know, they're not messed up. But if they're down there long enough, then they get all cloudy, you know, looking on the glass. But some of these glasses are going for big, you know. I wear Ray-Bans, which, you know, they're about $80, I guess, the ones I wear. But some of these are like $2,000 for one pair of glasses.
I'm glad they can get them, but I was like, God.
They got these ones, Costa, I think, and all kinds of different ones, but it's unbelievable. I mean,
I'd be so mad if I lost a pair. I mean, I've had more pairs of sunglasses blow off my face because I ride with the pickup truck windows down, and you know, whatever. When I was driving somebody, they'd blow right off my face. I was like, oh man, you imagine losing a $2,000 pair of sunglasses. I just want to slip my wrist, I think. But
they find all these bead necklaces in the water too.
Yeah. I
mean, just hundreds of them. You know, it's unbelievable how many get lost. What else? You know, like hats and one shoe, one flip flop, and, you know, all kinds of weird stuff
you
like that.
used to find a lot of wristwatches and stuff too, right, by boat docks and stuff, but you don't find them. Everybody uses cell phones now, so it's kind of, you know, it's like.
Well, these guys are finding. They find Apple watches, you know, and they're good, and they're waterproof, you know. Even the one I've got, the first one, and it wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be water resistant, but you know, then I heard that you could shower with it on, and but you know, I saw kids that were diving into pools with them, you know, and keeping the thing underwater for 6 hours straight, and it was still working. I figured it's got. I said to him, "That's more water resistant." You know?
Yeah, got
It's pretty waterproof. You know,
I got
but
Madison Maine
they're
on here. He's saying, Craig, that he's turned down money for finding keys and was rewarded with a "God bless you." That's a good one. And he said, "I found a designer pair of sunglasses or glasses at the beach. And I ran a lost and found ad on Craigslist, and when no one replied, I sold them for $75 on eBay. Good for you there, Madison." Hey, what the heck, man? That's gas money anymore.
I found this guy's gold ring, you know, and the guy wanted to, reward me, and he kept insisting, you know, and I just said, no, just the look on your face, you know. The guy actually burst out crying. He was like 80 years old.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess a couple days later, I was out, you know, at the grocery store, and I come back, and there's this big box on my front porch, and it was full of history books and stuff from the Civil War. And there was a nice note from the guy saying, you know, I had to give you something, it was really bugging me. And so I thought, you know, you would enjoy these history books because, you know, you're into that kind of thing. So I thought that was pretty nice. Yeah. And then I found, you know, property markers for, you know, two of my best friends. And
I always do that for people. Up there, it's really expensive. Down here, it's like $400 to do that, and I just do it for nothing, you know. But
this friend of mine, he had a well put in, and they had to go down like, you know, almost 900 feet or 800 feet, you know, to hit water, and it was, you know, they thought they were going to hit it, you know, real soon, and this well cost him a fortune, you know, and he didn't have hardly any money left, and in order to put the phone lines in, they had to know exactly where the property markers were, and so I found them for him, and I was saying, nah, you know, you don't have to pay me anything, you know. So finally I said, all right, take me out to dinner.
Give me another hunting spot, whatever. Let me hunt that field, or you know anybody for the field to hunt.
Well, the second guy, you know, when I couldn't, my other friend Chuck, he took Littlepage. He had this place down in Triangle, Virginia, right across from the Quantico Marine Base, where the Confederates had camps everywhere. And he just bought this place, and same thing. They were getting ready to put the phone line in, and he was at the end of this cul-de-sac, and there was all these woods, you know, all around him and behind him, and so I found the first three very easily, you know, like within 20 minutes. And then the third one, I couldn't, you know, I was having a hell of a time finding it. The last one, the fourth one. And it was back in the woods. And then we took we measured out this rope and got a general idea of where it would be. So then I went out there, and right before I found it, I got a signal, and I told Chuck, I said, I got to dig this up. This sounds really good. And I dug up what I thought was a cut-off bullet. I thought it was a cut-off Sharps bullet. Mm-hmm. And I later found out it was a Confederate picket bullet. And they were in a two-part mold, and they cut them. They had a sprue between the two bullets, and they cut it. And I ended up finding 100 of those behind his house, and they were back then. This was like in the probably in the mid '90s. They were worth like $10 a piece back then. I think they might be, you know, up around here.
They're more than that now.
Yeah, it's like guys around here telling me that, you know, they're selling three ringers for $10 a piece up here.
Yeah, God bless them.
So I was like, "What?"
We change our. You know, I've changed my theory on that. I mean, really, Craig, if they can turn around and, you know, the people that are buying these are going to treasure them. Most cases, I mean, if they're, you know, want a three ringer or whatever, a belt buckle, I mean, yeah, they're going to collect, but they're going to be treasured. You know, I mean, it's not like going to sit on a shelf. It's not going to. So I don't know if I have really a problem with that anymore. I think it's, if it's out there, people can see it, people treasure it. Hey, no different than me finding it.
Well, I met one guy. He's dug over 50,000 bullets, and he said that every once in a while when he needs money, he sells like 1,000 for $10,000, for $10,000.
Yeah.
I was like, God.
Pauline said, instead of finding it with the metal detector, they find it with $1. Or dollar amount, whatever. It's just,
yeah.
I don't know. We've talked about that before on the show too. Some of these places, these entities that get ticked off about people metal detecting or treasure hunting or whatever. Oh, leave it in the ground, so it can sit there and rot and nobody can appreciate it. It's just it's crazy.
This town is totally opposite. This whole area I live in is, it's almost the opposite. People are so interested, and most people know about this stuff. They know that, about metal detecting. That it's like I go over, that site down the street, and there's a firehouse there, and they have all these, like they do bingo, and this big dinner on Tuesdays, and I ended up, I'd see guys over there, there was probably at least 100 people show up for those things. And all of a sudden there was about 5 guys that started coming over every time they'd see me, that asked me what I was finding, and I met a few of these guys, and a couple of them actually had metal detected in the past, and they, they were, first thing they said, "Find anything from Civil War?" And I was like, "Yeah, a few things,
Mm-hmm.
So, it's and then I had one guy bring me this holster that he said that he bought it for $7. The guy said it was a CS, it was Confederate, and it was dubious to me. It didn't have the right rivets,
right?
And it also, the way the CS was on there, it was like it was scratched on there, and then the leather was like, dyed, but then where the CS was like, looked brand new, where it been, everything been scratched, new,
right.
Just didn't match up. And I said, I told him, I said, well, you only paid $7 for it, and it does look old. It looks like it's probably from, the 1890s or 1910, by the rivets,
Right.
But I said that, those aren't the rivets that they would have used during the Civil War, but I said, you only paid $7 for it, so it's not that big a deal. But I said the trouble with anything Confederate is it can be, people do fakes. There was guys that were making, fake plates. They're worth a lot of money, and they were actually using acids and all kinds of stuff to put fake patinas on stuff.
Oh yeah.
So you got to be careful, And I said, I don't have to worry about that because I'm not buying anything like that. I'm going to dig it up. I'm not going to buy it. I think if I bought like a Confederate plate, I'd get jinxed and I'll never find one.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never found one. I just, I never know. You never know. You just never know what you're going to dig up. I mean, I've been surprised by more things over the years. I mean, granted, it's not something you would think about being a bucket list item or whatever until you find one. Like, man, I tell you, I mean, I've never seen anybody find one of this particular kind of thing or whatever. I can't find photos of some of this stuff. There's not even any record of, it's there. That's like that Shakespeare one-drop oiler from 1921. I have not seen a photograph. They're extremely rare. Here I find one in the middle of a field, and it works. It opens and it does all that. It just, you just find certain things that you're not going to find every day. And, other stuff, I haven't found any bullets down here, Civil War bullets, but, some of the guys have buckles and.
Well, you got Seminole Indian bullets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons of those. Yeah.
And they're older than the Civil War.
Yeah. I mean, some of these guys they live down here and they've never found one like that. I've been, knock on wood, I've been pretty, fortunate, and I could find them. Sometimes 2 and 3 and 4 of them a day. I have every single one of them too. I mean, it's just something that, some of the guys don't find. I mean, Mike Miller was hunting with me. He finally found a couple, Mark Hoover was still looking for one. I don't think he found one. He found a couple more modern. So I mean, they're not easy to find. Just you got to know what you're listening for, and you got to get your coil over it. I mean, that's all it comes down to. But I mean, I found them in my own yard, for goodness sake, and that shocked the crap out of me. It's happened 2 or 3 times like that in my own yard, finding Seminole Indian bullets. But other places where they should be at, where you think they'd be at, you don't find any. It's weird.
Yeah. I was like, I've been using these new settings in my Bliss tool. I've gone back to that, I call it. I kind of tune it like I do the Equinox. Mm-hmm. I'm accepting more iron, using less iron discrimination, and then I'm running it real low. I have it like 1 gain and 3.5, threshold with 2 silencer, and I have it in auto instead of manual. The last few days I've been using, the last week I guess I've been using it in auto zone 2. I tried it in 3. Yeah. I went to 2, and it seemed to be even stronger. But the machine is just totally silent. It's like I don't hear anything except, I'm accepting more iron, so I can hear these clicks and stuff, But I've been over the front yard so many times. I've probably, at least 100 times, thoroughly.
Right.
And maybe even more than that. I mean, Mike and I were going out every single day, when we first got here, for a couple of hours, just mainly in the backyard.
Right.
But he didn't hunt the front yard. I did the front yard. And so, I'd found a lot of stuff, probably over 100 coins, and probably about 7 bullets and several buttons, a few flat buttons, maybe 2 bullets, maybe 3 bullets, and I guess maybe 4, because I got a Colt revolving rifle bullet.
Oh, that's cool.
But and I got some iron buckles. I got some pewter spoon bowls, stuff like that. But anyway, I decided to go back over the yard with the Bliss, and so right along the edge of the fence line is where I found most of the coins, and I dug a wheat penny right off the bat with these new settings, and I thought, man, that's unbelievable, and it just popped, when I went over it, and so I was like, wow, and it was probably 9 or 10 inches deep, so I dug a couple iffy signals, and I dug some, like 5 nails out of a hole, and
right.
Things like that, and it was kind of a signal that was, I was trying to make it sound better than it was, and I move over to this one area, and I get this signal, and it's just banging, and I'm thinking, this is crazy. I've never gotten any signals over here, and the ground is kind of funny. It's like it's been turned over or something. I don't know. But anyway, I dig down about 9 or 10 inches, and it's a 3-ringer. I couldn't believe it.
Madison, Maine's on here saying he said, Craig, I have a new yard to hunt now. 2 days ago, I found you're going to do this to me, Madison. He found a Constagobel. Oh,
Constantogobel.
Yeah, there you go. 25 feet from his front step. You guys just like to throw those words up there just so I can get mind baffled. And I can actually read pretty good. I don't know what the heck. I can't pronounce some of this stuff.
I dug a bell up the street, and it was completely smashed flat. I mean, it was like, just like, completely flattened. That's the last one I've dug. But
he found
finally
Civil War bullets up there at a train station site in Maine. I mean, they're there to be found. Like, they've found them down here in Florida in a housing addition, for goodness sake. Just, you never know where after the war, where people went and everything, because we have a few Civil War soldiers buried here in Bushnell, Bushnell Cemetery. We have some from the Indian Wars.
I dug up in Alexandria, in my neighborhood. I dug a main button in my backyard of my friend's house, about maybe 6 houses away from me, and a whole bunch of 3-ringers, and I think a flat button and a J hook, and that was the yard where his father, didn't want me to dig, and the youngest son said, "Go ahead and dig over there in the backyard on it." So I started on the edge of the hill, and I dug 3 Civil War bullets in a row, and I took the first one and I went in the house to show the father, because he said there was nothing. They weren't in this yard, and it's like maybe 75 yards from the fort.
Yeah.
I'm like, so. But anyway, I said I'll put it up. He wasn't there, so I put it on the arm of his chair and went back out. So all of a sudden, he comes running out with the bullet in his hand. He goes, "Hey, did you do that?" And he goes, and I said, "Yeah, I just got 2 more." And so he starts looking all along the ground, and he can't. And he's like, "I don't see any holes." And I go, "I don't leave any holes. I dug them right there." Yeah. He goes, "Oh, okay. Well, you can dig the whole backyard, but you can't dig the front yard."
We're like surgeons with our shovels. I can go through your whole yard, Craig, and never see a mark.
So anyway, I remember I was telling these guys I knew that metal detected, found this main button, and they go, "There weren't any main troops back there." I said, like a mile and a half away, there was a 4th and 5th Maine. There's a big camp there.
Right.
And somebody from that camp probably visited it up here.
I passed through there. I mean, there were soldiers everywhere, I'm sure, sometime.
Well, in some of the diaries, they talk about Fort Ellsworth as one of the first forts, and it was named after the first martyr of the Civil War, which was this, it was Colonel Ellsworth. He was like 23 years old. He was a colonel. And so he stole this giant Confederate flag off this guy's tavern when they invaded Alexandria, and the tavern owner killed him, and then he got shot by the corporal that was the guard, and they were the 2 first martyrs of the Civil War, and they named the fort after him. And it was like 40 yards from my house. That's why all that stuff was in my yard.
Yeah.
But when you read the diaries, I've read several from the Maine troops, and they were talking about they visited that hill. Everybody, those were 3 landmarks that the soldiers all talked about. Was Mount Vernon, where George Washington's home was, and that was funny because they go down there. It was 2 women that took care of that house, and they had to do all the work themselves.
Yeah.
And when the Union guys showed up, they started making them pay a dime, 10 cents to do a tour of the property.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually got money where they could actually, start fixing the place up again, keep it up. But and then they went to Christ Church because was it George Washington? That's where he went, and there was a silver plaque on the back of the seat in front of him, and that had his name on it. And when they knew that the Union had invaded, the clergy took that thing off and hid it. They actually buried it in the courtyard until after the Civil War was over, so that it wouldn't be stolen. And then the third thing was the fort. Everybody wanted to go up and see that fort. So those are the 3 landmarks in Alexandria that people, the soldiers went to.
Right.
But
we have, I guess Madison, Maine says there's a Ellsworth in Ellsworth, Maine town too, up there in Maine, named after him.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of neat. Yeah, you just never know where you're going to find stuff. I'll tell you, it just. Craig and I have found, both of us have found weird stuff and weird places, that you just would not even expect to find it.
Well, it's like, finding house sites along the river and stuff, and the same thing up here along this creek, and when I was going out with Jeff, just about every single finger ridge had a cabin on it, and these were, they were poor people, but they were on those ridges, right above the creek, so they could get water, very, very close. And, it makes sense. I mean, and then they had like a small farm. Most of the farms were, I think, 14 acres or something. A lot of them went for like $14 when they sold. It's crazy. But they were just basically little cabins. They didn't have any basements. We saw one that was kind of had a part of like a cellar hole type area. That's where we found that thing we called the Devil's Fork, and it was actually a lightning rod that was they used to repurpose them during the Civil War into flagstaff tops.
But Bill Marsh is saying he hasn't found one of those bells, but he's found many of the croto bells. But I've never found one of those croto bells either. I mean, I don't even know if they had them in Florida. I know they had them.
I found a small one up at my brother's property. It was in perfect shape, and that was the first one I'd ever found. And I was like, right before that, that day I found a 1750 2 real and a worn King George the First, and then I found that croto bell. I was like, man, what a day!
It's like me finding that wine tap. It was 1700s wine tap. I mean, didn't even think about digging one of those, but it's the coolest little thing I found. Here in Florida, one of the oldest. You just never know what you're going to dig up. And
I forgot to say, I went back to that same area where I found the bullet the other day, and I reduced the discriminator from 4 to 3.5, and then had the depth discriminator at 8.5, and so I'm hunting around about maybe 5 feet away. I got another signal, and I thought, oh my God, that sounds like almost like a copper signal, Yeah. It just had that nuance to it, and I dug down about 7 or 8 inches, and there's an Indian head penny.
I haven't found one of those in a while. It's been a while for me to find an Indian head.
It was 1907. But I'm going to do a video, but I cleaned it with it had like all these pits on one. The back was in great shape, and the front was kind of discolored, and it had like these pits on it, like little carbuncles on it. So I put it, put it in hydrogen peroxide, and left it for about 2 hours, and it came out really good shape, but it kept kind of like drying out. So I took this Renaissance wax I rubbed it real thick on there and let it dry, and then after it dried, I brushed it, and the back looks just beautiful, and the front looks, the date especially just pops on it. It came out a lot better, but then what was it? Yesterday I went out and I was hunting. I got this fire pit in the backyard that somebody put there years ago, and I'd never found anything around it. And I got this nice signal, and I pulled 5 nails out of the hole, and I kept one over the hole, and I kept, man, it sounds good. Sounded like, copper actually. And I pulled up this, I don't know what it is, but it's like it looked like a dandy button when it came out of the ground, but on the back, instead of a eyelet, it has like a round stud coming up, fairly long, and then on the end it's got like a point, and it's like beveled around the edge, and then there's this little point on it, and then on the round part itself, it's convex, but it's slightly, but it's got it's got a little tiny bar on each side. I don't know what that is, but that thing was down about 10 inches deep, maybe 11, and I'd never gotten a signal on that in the yard. And then right after that, I got a compact top right about 10 feet away, and it had like a rose on it that was, like stamped into it,
mm-hmm.
and then it had silver plating on it.
Yeah,
a lot of it was worn off, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, God, that's unbelievable with these new settings, going down real low.
Mm-hmm.
I think what happens is, when you get into a site that has a hell of a lot of iron in it, you have to run it low, because you run it with too much gain and you're putting that power into the ground and it's hitting those nails.
It
nails start sounding off.
Yep.
Yeah, and it starts blocking the other signals, and you get this noise. And I think also by running it silent, I'm not having any problem with EMI at all, and that was a major problem in that yard, especially in the very back of the yard along the alley.
Right.
But,
well, it makes sense. I mean, because it's so hypersensitive. Then, with all those targets, it doesn't know what the hell to do, and it's just picking up.
And I'm still getting deep targets, with good signals, and I don't mind. It's like I was, people were saying, they don't want to dig trash, and I said, man, the only way you get really good stuff sometimes is take a chance. You won't believe it. I said it doesn't happen every single time, but take a chance on targets.
I would say get that big iron out of there. But a lot of times those big iron pieces, they're not worth anything really, but I think they're pretty cool. I mean, that's how you get 38-pound D shackles and fireman wrenches and just all this whole plethora of iron stuff that would look really cool hanging up or whatever, or decorations or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I just
I know there's got to be, there's got to be another piece of a shell or something in the yard, because we found 2 pieces already, and there was been others found across the alley in that other guy's property. He showed me this big piece he found over there in his yard.
You probably got cannonballs in your yard, Craig.
I mean, there was bombs bursting in air in this neighborhood. That's the way it went.
I want to get to my sister's house. She's up in Massachusetts, and right next door to her was a cannonball factory back in way back. And obviously not there anymore, but if they were making cannonballs there has got to be a couple straight cannonballs laying around somewhere. You know what I mean? When they sold out or whatever, lost them in the ground.
Yeah.
It could be anywhere. I could go up there and have all kinds of damn cannonballs, and I never found one of those. And I wouldn't have to carry it too far because it'd be right in her yard.
There's like there's a artillery bolt that was shot through the house next door.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a cabin there, but it's a small one. It's probably maybe 5.5, 6 pounds at the most. But it's it's kind of when the guy showed it to me, he was really surprised when he said, "Hey, what do you think that is?" And I said, "That looks like maybe a Confederate bolt." And he looked at me, he goes, "Man, you know your stuff."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I've been metal detecting for 33, 34 years now."
A lot of research. Yeah, it's it's just amazing what you find yourself looking up and what just stuff that you never even thought of. You've been doing this for 40 years. Did you ever think you'd find something like that? You know what I mean? It's just, you just never figured you come across. That's what makes it exciting. That's what the adrenaline rush is. You just never know what it is until it comes out of the ground. And,
I heard it. I was talking to a guy on that I used to see, when we were metal detecting along the river at that Colonial and that Texas site. And guys, it's unbelievable the stuff he's found over the years. But there was another guy that Terry that had found a lot of these spots, and before, way before all that. So I didn't know it, but a lot of these spots that I found, he'd already hunted them, and a lot of people didn't want to hunt them that knew that he'd hunt them, but because of how good he was. And I actually found plates on the sites, some of the, and spurs and all kinds of stuff. I didn't find as much, quantity, but I found quite a bit of stuff. That
right.
It was good enough that every time I went, I found stuff. That. So I was like, this is not a hammered spot, but he had one of the older Nautiluses, and I had the brand new ones at the time,
right?
And that went a little bit deeper, but there was so many people that I went behind him on probably 5 or 6 different sites, and found a lot of stuff. And but anyway, I asked this one guy. He was showing stuff that he showed some pictures of what this guy's collection looked like. So I asked if he was still hunting, and he said, yeah, he's in his 70s now. And I was thinking, God, I don't know if it's there myself.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to live forever, brother. You're going to live forever.
But that's pretty cool. He's still hunting,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, when we went to that Florida Hunt 4, I took my mom to that one. There was a lot of ladies there, and there was one lady there, 73 years old. My mom's 70 at the time. They're out there hunting, and even, Mike Miller, he's in his 70s. I mean, a lot of people are still able to get out there and do this, and probably hunt better than most of us. I mean, Mike Miller gets out there in the doggone chest deep water, and he'll stay out there for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. And I'll be honest with you, Craig, I don't think I could do it more than 2 hours without just being wore out, because that's, you're dealing with tide and everything else in there, but it just what you're used to doing, I guess, and you do it for enough years and everything, and it's your body's made for it. Where I don't get out, water hunting very much at all. I mean, I beach hunt, but even that, I was out here the other day horsing around in the yard. I was going to head out to the Tollbridge property, but I just didn't get a chance to. And, just out here digging, mostly junk, unfortunately. But, it's brass and copper and aluminum and this and that. And I've had a lot of trees pulled out of the yard. So, I figured, well, maybe I'll get some more Seminole Indian bullets or something. So, but yeah, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna try to get out to the Tollbridge property this weekend, maybe. But we finally got rain today, Craig. It hasn't rained. Well, it's rained everywhere else except on our house. And finally, we got rain today. But then I heard that all across the country there are rivers and spring thaw and everything's flooding. And I'm like, gosh, man, send some of that water our way. We'll take some of it off your hands, because we've been so doggone dry. I mean, the grass is burning up. It's crunching when you walk on it. That's not normal for us down here. Usually we're getting, these springtime rainstorms come through every, couple of days or so. But that's the first real rain we've seen at this house in at least 3 or 4 weeks.
We have shower every other day, it seems like. We had 3.
I can see the storms. I can hear the thunder and lightning. I can see the lightning. I can see the storm itself, and it's like a mile away from us, and it just goes right around our house. I'm like, oh, man. Just to knock the dust and pollen out of the air, just so
Yeah,
it's like a
that's
sauna.
Been bad up here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, brother. Probably gonna wrap it up for tonight. We're about almost to 9:30. But really, time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
But yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. And Craig and I are kind of tossing around an idea of doing some different. Keep on doing our Thursday and Saturday nights. We're going to try to do some other things here. We haven't really discussed it, so I don't want to go into too much detail, but more information, and I don't know, I'm not going to tell you much more than that. You might see us sporadically just show up on the show might just start up. You might have to listen live, and it might be at work or whatever. Just tell your boss, man, hey, it's part of my job description. I have to listen to Hardcore Metal Sticking Radio whenever it comes on. It's in my job description. But Yeah,
well, we could even do ones that aren't live, and just put them up.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I never even thought. I haven't tried to do that before. When we put up a pre-recorded show, and just trying some different stuff,
But I don't know. This podcasting is really growing big.
I think it's great. I think it's fun.
I remember when it was, in the primitive stage where we were having all these crashes and everything.
Oh,
now
God,
it's like
it was miserable.
totally professional where they're making money on it. And it's, just like it's killing regular radio off,
Yeah.
It's just taking over.
Yeah, I just want to try some different stuff and, have more fun with it. Now, not so tied up with everything and, have a little bit more time. It might be a short little show. Just, maybe,
yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure something out. I'm sure you guys will like it, something different. So, and maybe do a live hunt. They could be out metal detecting on his iPhone and
listen
doing
to
the
this.
show. Listen to this signal. There you go. Hey, that's pretty cool, Craig. We had to do that in your yard. There you go. We just talk about whatever.
We did that one time.
That's right. We did.
On the Mind Lab, on the Tone ID.
Yeah. You never know what the hell we're going to do. All kinds of crazy stuff.
If you hear this signal, definitely dig it.
Yeah, it's a dig me signal. I can live vicariously through Craig's metal detecting.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, brother. Well, we'll wrap it up for tonight, guys. We'll be on Saturday night at 8 p.m. As usual. We're on every Thursday and Saturday. Be sure to like and follow the show. Tell a friend about us. And like I said, we're move over to Spotify. We'll be on iHeartRadio, a couple other places there, and I'll put them. I have a URLs or whatever. I got to transfer over to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Facebook page, and that way, maybe you have a subscription to one of these places, and you can kind of just program it in your phone or whatever, and you get the archives and everything right there on your, like if you have Spotify or whatever, you'll be able to get it. So hopefully it makes it a little bit easier for y'all. You also can go to hardcoremetaltdetecting.com, and it'll link you right into the Spreaker page where we're at. So, when we go live or whatever, you can listen to the live show, or you can go right to the archives and download stuff. Trying to make it a little bit easier for you so you don't have to have, just go through this one to this one to this one or whatever. You can just kind of go right to the page. You don't have to worry about it. And I'm sure the other guys have the same kind of thing going on too. Just, one of the little things we have as radio podcasters that we have an ability to do. And I'm still learning this stuff. A lot of these guys are probably already doing it because, Craig, I don't like change too much sometimes. So,
yeah. But sometimes it's forced on you. So.
Yeah, no kidding. So,
God.
At any rate, guys,
I like the thing. If it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, that drives me crazy. If it ain't broke, fix it until it is, right?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all get out there if you can. Keep digging, and God bless.